that girl is all about being prepared, ladies and gentlemen. Be prepared.
What's up? We're in LA. We're in Beverly Hills at the Dior store.
Okay, so this is night 2 look. Okay, for the dinner, we're giving this. One must look good sitting as well. Don't forget that, people. You know, sit. Sit when you try on your outfits. You know, you need to look, maybe you like this leg, or maybe you like cross-legged. Like, what looks better?
Hi, I'm Kira Rickert with The Buzz, here with EJ Johnson. Hi. So, we just moved to New York. Big life changes. What made you move there?
Honestly, it's like, it was just like coming home again. It wasn't really like a big life. Actually, it wasn't really that big of a life change, but I just was going back.
Okay.
But honestly, I've always been a New Yorker at heart. I felt like, even when I was little, I think one of my first trips I remember, I think I was like 5 or 6, and I remember like looking out the window in the car with my mom, and I was like, I'm gonna live here one day. And she was like, absolutely not. Like, it's dangerous, it's horrible. You know, this was like the 90s, and she was like, you can't. But when it was come time for college, like, I only applied to East Coast schools. Like, so I was like, I'm getting out of this bitch. Yeah, like one way or another.
So you feel like you're coming home. What do you feel connected to New York?
The energy, like the freedom. I feel like there's just like a lot like more like my creativity there. I think my mind moves very fast as well, like my ADD, and like because New York is just so fast paced, like it's easy for me to like get my things out when I feel like I was a little like stifled here.
Yeah, well,
But
you're
it was
Gemini.
yeah, but it was a good place to like chill here and like reset before moving back.
Yeah,
It definitely was a good period.
Because like you definitely moved back there. You're taking acting classes now. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this transformation of acting classes. Try and get into this. To get into real acting. Like,
yeah,
how's that?
You know, honestly, like I started that here though. I started that in like 2018, 19.
Okay, so it wasn't like as like
no,
moving to New York.
It wasn't as crazy
okay.
as like cutthroat. No, I've been working at this for a long time, but acting was like my first love, and so it was really cool because like I hadn't done anything as an adult. Like it was only like when I was a kid, so getting into like the classes again, like as an adult, was like a whole new world. It was like, wow, okay, like I get it. But I think the most important thing about classes is just like finding yourself as the actor and like kind of like how you create your own process. Because I mean, like there's a lot of like real like you know like different methods that like are, you know, the studio ways and like the formal ways, but I think the best actors are kind of just like figure it out on themselves, and like I did that with and through my work.
Yeah, because like everyone knows you in like reality TV. So do you feel like stepping into a character is like challenging, or do you just bring yourself into the character?
I think it's like because I was doing that before I even started reality. Like as a kid, like I was so free with it and easy, and I had to connect to that energy of like my child who was so like fearless and just like could jump into a role and didn't worry about memorizing lines and just was like this like creative beast. And like I had to channel that kid and be like, all right, like we're just bringing this back as an adult, which has been really cool. Honestly, like I think like reality like can other ways be like a little weirder and more challenging because it's like you're you, but you're not quite you. You end up being this kind of like
a character, but it's still you.
Kind of become like a caricature of yourself, which is fine, but like it can get like daunting if you don't know who you are.
Yeah,
person, you know.
So do you feel like that made you like grow up faster, figure out who you were quicker, like because you were in reality TV
and also like getting
younger.
used to cameras also was like a big part of like, you know, made easier when I was like doing the acting work, because like I'm very good at in front of cameras now because of like having cameras in my face for 4 years every day, you know, like with reality. So like I had like kind of like a leg up in that arena, or like even having eyes on me, like it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, because like obviously you have famous parents, so like do you feel like having like them as like having famous parents, like being able to like, did that make you like be your own self, or like do you like, grow faster, or like try to like break out of the nest like quicker?
It was daunting a lot because it was challenging because like I didn't really get a chance to like really, I mean they protected me as much as they could as like having a private childhood, but like honestly like it wasn't like any normal childhood. It definitely wasn't a normal childhood. Like, you know, like and it also even going to like the private schooling here, like all of the kids were industry kids. Like whether your parents was an actor or a director or
still
a producer.
LA.
Yeah, or like studio head or an agent or this. Like everything is LA. So like, you know, for us the biggest flex was like, oh, what movie premiere are you going to? Because I'm going to Spider-Man. Where are you? You know, what are you doing this weekend? Like that was like very much part of you know, our world. But like for me it was good because I got a sense of like what Hollywood was and like all the bullshit that it really is, you know. So like it didn't daunt me as an adult. 'Cause I didn't have to go through that. Oh, like what is the Hollywood? You know,
Yeah.
like it being eaten up and chewed out and spit out like it does so many people from who don't grow up that way.
Yeah.
So like I really got like a behind the scenes, at the front of the scene, like all the scene views of like
Yeah.
what Hollywood was.
Yeah.
For
And then
sure.
do you feel like since you got those behind the scenes, it made you grow up faster or figure out who you are quicker? Like, did it really shape who you were?
I think it's just like it made me a lot more self-aware for sure.
Okay.
And I think I probably, to your point, I probably did grow up a little bit faster than most kids did because I had to learn about like people using me for
Yeah.
who wanted to be friends with me for the wrong reasons. And those were like really big life lessons that I had to learn, especially when I went to college and I was on my own. Like a lot of like the people that like I thought were my friends were not my friends, and they
Mhm.
really just wanted access and the fancy trips and the this and the that. And I was like, oh, like I have to like learn how to be out in the wilderness by
Yeah.
myself.
You had to like figure out who to trust quicker.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But honestly, like I love that I'm like that, because now I'm like, if you come over here with some bullshit, like I'm quick to let you know, like this is not going further than this. Like bye.
You're like, I see right through you.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And then talking about like reality TV and stuff, I always think it's really interesting, like EJ NYC. Like this is like happened 10 years ago. You're the first person of color, LGBTQ. Like it was really ahead of its time. Like how do you reflect on that and like look back at that?
I actually love to go back and watch it. Like it really does give me so much pride, like to see. And I tell my other friends who are on
Yeah.
the show with us, and I'm like, yo, like to see these like young 20 something kids like killing fucking fashion looks this hard is so insane. Like the looks were so good. But I actually was just talking about this in the interview we did before I came here. It's like the show definitely was way too ahead of its time, and not in a bad way, but just like we were having conversations about being non-binary and gender and sexuality that like no one was talking about
Yeah.
at the time. At the time, it was still just like gay, straight, bisexual, trans, and that's it. Like
Yeah.
that's all you could be. And so we were really pushing the boundary there. And I remember vividly fighting for that scene where I was talking to like a gender therapist about kind of like my own identity journey and things of that nature. And the producers kind of being like, well, why do we need this? And I was like, no, well, you need it because like no one has talked about
Yeah.
it. Like, and also I'm learning about me. Like I'd like to know some
Yeah,
things.
like you're like,
I've
this
got
is shows about
questions.
me.
Right. And also too, it's like we had they made me be like, okay, well, how do you feel about being compared to a woman on the red carpet, like a Kim Kardashian, because you're both in a dress, in the same dress or in a similar dress. And so I'm like, yeah, we have to address this. Like
Yeah.
we have to talk about like how this feels like in the psyche. And so yeah, it was so revolutionary. And I think that's why obviously at the time it didn't go further, because it, I think the network and the producer were just like, well, what do we do?
Yeah.
But I'm so proud of it.
No,
I'm so proud
yeah,
of
and I
it.
feel like it's definitely like with who you are in your brand, you're so unapologetically yourself, and like, how do you feel like that translates like in every work you do?
It just is, it's like, and people say that to me all the time, like, oh, keep doing what you're doing, or, don't let them stop you. And I'm like, girl, I don't know how to do that, even if I tried. Like,
You're
I
like, I'm
have
just
to
be myself.
I have to just keep going forward. And like, honestly, I'm just so in love with who I am as a person, and like the me that I see reflected back to me in these interviews and in my, in my content. And, for a person whose journey is deeply identity and deeply gender in this lifetime, like, I can look at all my content now and be like, that's the girl that I've always wanted to be, like that bitch, like who is confident and funny and fabulous and sexy and cool and like witty and like, and powerful. And I'm just like, like that bitch is so good. Like, and it's just so beautiful to be in this place,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah, you're just in your feminine era.
Yeah, I'm in my feminine energy, honey. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what was needed to be healed and cultivated and cultured, in my time that I was taking away from like the spotlight, and like that's what I was doing, and
Good.
it feels just so beautiful.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then like now coming back to the spotlight and everything, like where do you see this EJ going like the next 5 years?
I really don't want to put any parameters on this bitch. Like,
No pressure, no
she's
pressure
just
here.
going where she's going, but I'm really happy with the way that we are building, kind of this new empire, and the fashion dialogues that we're having, and like, the acting roles as well. Like everything is just like ticking, ticking, ticking up and up and up. But I think I'm really excited to start having more dialogues. Like I loved, I love doing these interviews, and I love, the Met Gala commentary I just posted on my socials. And
Yeah, let's get into
I wanna
that.
have
The
more of
graveyard.
those dialogues, right? And
Yeah.
I think that's what we need. as a culture and as a society because no one is saying anything. And that's how I kind of like started back into the spotlight with my socials and stuff like that, is because I was like, why is no one saying that this outfit is bad? Or why is no one saying that this bitch never comes to work? Or why are we just giving it to these bigger names just because like they're big names? I'm like, you can't win the carpet just because you're the most famous person on the carpet. Like, it doesn't work that way.
No.
You know, if we're talking about fashion, we need to talk about fashion. And I think, and that's how I felt. And I was just like, yeah, these conversations are missing. Where's the Joan Rivers? Like, where's the Andre Leon Talley's? Like, where are these people who were saying these things before? And now we don't.
Why
Because
do you think
everyone's
they
afraid.
like why do you think those type of conversations like disappeared?
I think we got, like, the PC conversations, which is good that everyone is like kind of like taking sensitivities, but not to a point where like we can't say what we need to say. And I think that that's part of the problem. But also, too, I think celebrity and fame have reached a very scary height in our society. It's kind of wild that, like, if you're super duper famous, you can do whatever and get away with whatever, and no one's supposed to talk about you. Like, no, like that's not how this works.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think the industry, especially fashion, it just like became very much about numbers and fame and driving, eyes to products and money. And I think that made it a little way too much more commercial and way too easy for, super famous people to dominate, even though they don't even have any sense of style.
So like with the Met Gala, do you think it was just like a bad year, or do you think like it's this how culturally things
No,
are going?
I think it's been a slow decline for the past couple of years, which I've noticed. I just think this one hit rock bottom because, like, I was gagged, but also, everyone else was gagged.
Yeah.
And I just realized that I'm the only person who is confident enough to say, what the group chat is saying out loud.
Mhm.
Because everyone was texting me.
Yeah.
Everyone I went to dinner with that night, when I was, before we went to the parties, everyone was like, wow, everyone looked awful. And I was like, right? Like, and it wasn't just the outfits too, like people's makeups were bad and the hair was bad. And like,
The idea wasn't there.
yes, it's just like the ideas weren't hitting. And it just was kind of like, wow, like what a catastrophe. And like, honestly, I was shocked. I had very low expectations, like no expectations, because I was like, it's been so bad for so long, but it really hit a new low. And that's why I was like, I think this is it. I don't really know where it goes from here. And then, especially since it changed hands with Jeff Bezos, and I don't know what's going to go on in the future. And Anna's kind of like washed her hands of it. So it's like the Wild West.
Yeah, it's just like I feel like
But there's a new sheriff in town.
It's you.
And it's me.
Hell yeah. No, because I only look I liked was Emma Chamberlain's. That's the only.
That's what I said.
That's the only person.
That's what I said. And I
She-
said, the other people, like Nicole Kidman looked nice. So she always looks
Yeah,
nice.
they look nice.
Yeah,
Like they look
right.
good. I'm not, but like, where's the art? Where's the culture? Where's it like really saying?
Yes. And honestly, like once, not only did the dress look good on her, but then when I did the research about like how it was vintage Mugler and how it was hand painted and to make it look like it was painted on her body. And then with the simple pixie and the makeup, like it all read.
Yes.
And I was like, well, you just ticked off all the boxes. So you win in my book. Like,
Hell yeah.
and I don't follow her or I don't pay attention to her. Look, but I'm like,
You're like, you looked good.
but you looked great. And that's it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, for me, good for you. But I think that's the type of, crowns we need to be handing out, or the applause we need to be giving to the girls who actually just came and did it right. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, if you did it right, then you win. Like, you don't win just because like you're a Beyonce or whoever else, or Taylor Swift or whatever. But like, if you came to work, then great. It worked.
Come to work.
Right. Come to work and come to play and then come to win.
Yes, I love it. And then you recently went on a couple of podcasts. You broke like the podcast sphere of talking about they've only dated like straight. You only want to date straight men. Do you want to clarify that? How are people supposed to receive it? I think
there was a lot of misconceptions
yeah,
about it.
but that's why I want you to clear it up.
Which
Yeah.
made me laugh,
Yeah.
honestly. But what the point of what I was saying was just like that, sexuality is free.
Yeah.
And we don't need these boxes and labels, and these boxes and labels only separate us. And it wasn't my dating preference. What I was saying was just like, those are the type of men that typically approach me. And that's how it's always been for me. And I really just answered a question honestly, and
Yeah.
everyone lost their mind. But I like it because I'm here for that. You know what I'm saying? And I thought a lot about that during that period. And it didn't hit me as backlash just because people didn't like what I had to say, which is fine. Like, you don't, because I'm not out here trying to be everyone's best friend or be perceived in a certain way. Like, I am who I am and how I am, and I was gonna say what I want to say, and then that's it. So I think it was great because I'm like, this is a great reintroduction for me because this is how this bitch is running it now. This is not some cute cuddly version of
Yeah.
me. I'm like, we're having real dialogues, and that's what I was here to. That's what I've been put on this earth to do, to have such conversations that no one else has the courage to talk about. But I'm like, yeah, that is my dating life, and I answered the question honestly, and that's all that needs to be said.
Yeah, yeah,
And if you
no.
don't like it, you don't have to like it.
Yeah, it's
It's
just
really
like we're
fine.
like, I'm just answering a question. I just let's
Yeah,
keep this going. Let's
it
keep this
it
going.
was not about persecuting anyone or judging anyone else's preference. I was like, it
No.
was literally just about me and my life and what was going on in my dating life,
Yeah.
and that's really it.
What's up? We're in LA. We're in Beverly Hills at the Dior store getting fitted for the pre-cocktails for the Dior Cruise 2027 show. Let's get started.
No, let's talk about why you're in LA now because you have a Dior show. Tell us about it. Like, what are you here for this long weekend?
Yeah, well, it's not really a weekend. It's kind of just like a random middle of the week in
Yeah.
LA. But yeah, I'm attending the Dior Cruise 2027 show, which is
Great.
tomorrow, which I'm very excited about. Um, yeah, like I'm interested to see what it's going to be. Like, I like the cruise shows because they're kind of like away from Fashion Week and they're kind of one off. So it's like it's just a one show and then it's over. But it's always cool, and I love that LA, they're choosing LA a couple, for these kind of fashion shows. Chanel did one here a couple years ago. Gucci had one that I went to as well. Dior actually had one a couple years ago in like I think it was like 2017 in like Calabasas. I know what Saint Laurent has showed in Malibu. So like I like that over the past couple years, like LA is trying to get a little more fashion, like a little cooler in that aspect. Because she needs she needs some help. The town, bless her.
LA does.
Yeah,
Bless
yeah.
her
She's
heart.
had a tough go of it recently.
How are we gonna give her a facelift?
I think that certain events like this, and I think that like hopefully even the movie and television industry
Yeah.
is like shooting in more in New York now and like other places, and like that's Hollywood. Like that was what this town was built on.
Yeah.
So I hope that more stuff like that returns as well.
Yeah, because it's for you growing up here, probably so we're seeing that shift of like the TV leaving, movies leaving. You're like, what is LA?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like my whole childhood was spent like going to all of those like movie red carpets.
Yeah.
Like that was like it. Every week or weekend, like and like it's like all the little Hollywood kids. I'm telling you, we'd leave early from school because we had to go get ready, to make sure we were on the carpet, go the carpet at the right time, like. We had such a jaded upbringing, but that was our life,
Yeah.
and it's really sad that, yeah, like so much is left.
Yeah.
So much of that business is left.
When you look back at your childhood, like, is there like a red carpet that you really sticks out in your mind?
Jeez, there were so many good ones. So, I mean, I remember Harry Potter. We did the first Harry Potter one they did here. Spider-Man, the Tobey Maguire one, like the first
Yeah,
first
yeah, yeah.
one. What else? When I was super little, with Cinderella with Brandy
Oh
and
my,
Whitney Houston. I mean that was really great. That was really because Whitney is still like I listen to her every day. Like she's my one. And everyone they ask you like, oh, if you could pick one, like mine is Whitney. Like
Oh, love
me and
that.
Whitney have been bobbing and weaving forever. I love her. So that was another good one. What else did we? I mean, God, we saw them all. I remember SpongeBob. They turned like Paramount Studios, like they had like rides and food and like they turned the whole back lot into like making it look like Bikini Bottom. And then remember that random like Snow Day movie? It wasn't. I don't even know if
I'm trying
it
to
was like
think.
about kids who had a snow day. I don't even
I don't
remember.
know.
It was called. I think it was called Snow Day. But they turned
Yeah,
again.
it was
They
an
turned
awesome
Paramount
premiere.
Studios, yeah, into like it was snowing outside.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
they
yeah.
had like ice and snowball fights and like I mean they spent a lot of money on those things, which they don't spend money on anymore. But those kind of like cool. Yeah, I remember all those like huge like installations. Like I mean, it was like Disneyland. It's like it was like so cool. But those were the like some pretty memories. Oh, Star Wars.
Oh wow,
Star
that's
Wars, I
fun.
remember was dope. I think it was episode 1, 2, one of those ones we went to.
No, so like hearing you just like talk about Whitney made me think like who are your idols and like who do you like inspire to be? Who like influence you? I like would love to hear about like your
Yeah.
influences, your idols.
I think for me it's like I don't put anyone on a pedestal. Like
Yeah.
I've learned like not to do that anymore. Like I keep that throne for myself. But definitely a lot of influences. Deanna Vreeland, the great who was the editor-in-chief of Vogue, before in like the 60s and 70s, brilliant. Andre Leon Talley, I've read all of his I watched all his documentaries and read all of his books. Another incredible fashion mind. Who else do I love? Oh, well, I love Joan Rivers. Joan Rivers, and I was
Yes.
blessed to have gotten to work with her on one episode of The Fashion Police, which was so cool.
Yeah. How was that?
I mean, for a woman who was like 80 plus, I mean, the bitch was sharp, like needed like she didn't even need the prompter. Like she just was like riffing and running and
She was
like,
just like doing her stuff.
yeah, but also like no, but also like controlling the flow of the show. Like
Okay.
she would pivot to Juliana and then pivot to the man, whatever his name was, George.
I
George.
forget which
What's
guy
his
it
name
was.
the guy from like Queer Eye, the first one, the original one.
I forget.
His name was George.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
he was like, pivot, and then we pivot to me, and then like she was just running the show, and I'm like, what? Wow,
Yeah.
like it was so cool. Who else do I love? I love and then I love like old Hollywood stars of like Marilyn and Joan Crawford and those kind of like glamour ladies, and Eartha Kitt is great, and Diane Carroll, and and who else? Yeah, like Josephine Baker. Like I have a lot of like images, but I love Michelle Pfeiffer and Sharon Stone.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, I love any like of those like villainess like white ladies are my favorite. It's like those are Glenn Close.
Oh, thank
Glenn
you.
Close.
I was waiting for you to say that.
Yes, I couldn't forget Glenn Close. That Cruella de Vil changed my life. Like, I mean, that's when I was like, I need to be this.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I want to act like, I want to be in a movie like that and play like a role like this. I used to run around my house like in one of my mom's fur coats and like a pen as a cigarette and call everyone darling and like try to like skin puppies. Like that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
I was like, that movie changed my life. Like she's just one of the best.
Yeah, so like your dream role would be like a villainous type of like,
I feel like I'm gonna end up playing a lot of villainesses like for some reason, but like just how I feel. But like yes, like I love those type of roles. I love those types of worlds. I love Dynasty, like the original one, like with Dominique Devereaux and Alexis Carrington. Like those type of characters too are so good. So like those are the type of roles I'm excited to play.
No, and I also want to hear about like obviously you love fashion. So what fashion trend are you so against right now?
Like I actually told someone of this the other day. I was like, trends are here to like help us. Like I don't like people who like incorporate every trend and become trendy. Like I think for me it's like as trends come in, like I can be like, that's cute, but like I don't know if that's for me, or like, oh, that's cute, like maybe I'll get a pair of those, like so like I try not to be too icked out by that, but like I just feel like whatever works for me personally, then like I like it. If not, then it's fine. Like I like the little athletic short trend that came in. Like a lot of people showed athletic shorts in the past, like for the past like 2 collections, and especially like this spring summer time with like like a kitten heel and like like
I
a
love the
blazer or
kitten
like a
heel.
leather jacket or something. Yeah, same.
Yeah.
But like I try not to. I don't like to be too trendy. I don't like people who are just like one way.
No, you're like, don't dress like the trends, dress for yourself, be yourself. But it's a good like, oh, what's working?
Yeah, but even when the celebrity trends and people, so like you're like, okay, this bitch, I like the way she dresses, so I can incorporate some of this into my personal style, but don't like copy her.
Yeah.
Or copy him. Like I don't like when people do that.
Yeah,
and
just
then
be
everyone
yourself.
just looks the same.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of homogeny going on because of social media, which is sad because like, you used to be able to go to Paris and London and all these different places and see all these different styles, but now everyone just looks the damn same, for the most part. So it's great that we all get to be kind of like interconnected, but at the same time it's sad because everyone just kind of like looks the same.
Yeah. No, it seems like that's like a lot of the themes of our conversations. Like a lot of people like thank God like there's been like a growth mindset with everyone, but now it's also like now we're all stuck as like the same, and like now you're like, let's not do that. Let's think for ourselves, like in our clothes, in our fashion, in our thoughts, and like let's just talk. Like
like I think there's like 10 prototypes that like people just could fall into the category of, and like that's where I'm at. And that's exactly what you said. Like, that's exactly what I want to do. I want to start talking and like get people, to open their minds and like find their personal styles and realize that like you don't have to just look like everyone else, like, and I think those are the important dialogues that we could have, and also have fun. People can't be entertained anymore. That's what I'm learning too about all of this, whatever the people are up in arms about what, is being said. It's like, You remember a time when we would allow ourselves to be entertained when like Wendy Williams would say something crazy?
Oh
And you're
my
like,
God, I
okay,
miss
Wendy, like that's
Wendy.
crazy, but we would laugh. You
Yeah.
weren't like, oh my God, I can't believe you just said that.
No, it's not that serious.
Yeah, it's not that serious.
Yes.
Nothing is that serious. You know what I'm saying? Like there are wars going on. You know,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
mad about something I said. Like, come on, girl.
Like, let's relax.
You're ridiculous. Like, it's so crazy. But I was just like, yeah, it's like we allowed ourselves to be entertained. And like, we need more of that. People are so sensitive and just so reactive. And I'm like, so you're just going to be pissed off for the next like couple of weeks because you saw something on Instagram you didn't like? Like, come on.
You know,
That's
it's like,
crazy.
Let's get thicker skin.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
let's-
seriously. Like, let's take a deep breath and, you know, just learn how to laugh.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm like you said, it's like, it's not that deep, like, at all. At
I-
all.
I think my life goal is to giggle, so like I'm just try and giggle and through life.
I mean, I have a great time throughout because I have a great time laughing at these people taking themselves so seriously.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's hilarious. Like, I'm just like, wow, you are just really uptight, like, for no reason.
Yeah, so you're not taking yourself too seriously.
No,
You're
because
just
I'm like, what is that? I'm like, girl, I'm like running around in, you know, in high fashion looks. Like, there's nothing serious about that. Like, there's nothing.
At least you're serving.
Yeah, I mean, like, true, but like, you know, there's nothing severe. Like, I'm not curing diseases or helping, you know, needy people. Like, I'm just running around in fabulous outfits and like, let's have a good time while we're doing it. And like, I love that like people are enjoying me enjoying this, and therefore they are having some enjoyment themselves. Like, that's really wonderful because I'm like, I want more people to learn how to enjoy.
So
And, like,
that's what you really want your fans to take out. Of,
yeah,
like,
because
you,
like I'm having a good time, and I think people are also having a good time watching me have a good time, which is the point. And hopefully they'll have a good time themselves. Like, you know, at the end of the day, like that's just what I wanted to from the content, and I realized that that's what was going on, and that made me very happy because I was like, I really loved that everyone is getting entertained, and you can just, you know, clock out from your shitty day and like watch me, you know, run around and be fabulous, and then you smile and giggle and, you know, you're like, yes, and then that gives you some excitement, and then maybe you'll go out and slay some look that weekend. Like, you know, that's just to bring joy. Like, we need joy back because like she really took, you know, she really left.
She took a hiatus.
She took a hiatus, and like even like all the content too, like even the TV shows and the movies, everything is so sad and like dark.
There's always a
and, like,
murder.
yeah, it's always a murder or like some like, you know, like some commentary on like social injustices and, you know, all of this stuff. And I'm like, oof, too heavy.
Yeah.
Too heavy.
No, I'm just like blaming the housewives. I want them to just be screaming
Like,
at
it's like,
Birkins.
sometimes it's like you need that noise.
Yeah.
Like, I miss watching the real, like the Nene and Kenya on the Real Housewives. Like,
Yes.
sometimes I just go back and watch old clips
Oh my
and
God,
I
yeah.
get my entire life. Like,
Yeah.
I just am like, I didn't want to just blank out for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I think that's like what like life is about. Is like some joy. Like obviously, there's like the important things, but it's also like bringing the joy in.
Yeah, but I think like that's even like having housewives like that at that time, like when you had more leeway to really, you know, have fun and like lay into each other and do all the ridiculous things. And now I think it's like you can't really do anything because you'll just be canceled
Yes.
or fired or whatever.
Are you afraid of being canceled?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. Like I don't care.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like that's in the cards for me.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, like I'm, you know, I think it's just like, you know, because what I'm saying is authentic. Like, I'm not here to like piss any, like outrage, like really, like
You're not trying to be
say-
mean. You're
not
just
being mean spirited, and I'm not trying to like get under people's skin on purpose. Like,
Yeah.
yes, I can poke you and like, but I'm just speaking the truth. Like, if you're offended by something that I said that which isn't even meant to be offensive, then that's on you.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not out here being offensive.
No,
or
you're
whatever.
you're just speaking your truth.
Yeah, like I watched like that Netflix thing. Well, I couldn't get through all of it because it was very another thing very serious, and like with that manosphere thing on
No, I
Netflix
haven't
about like
seen
all
it.
those like toxic masculine like
Oh no, I have to see
influencers.
this.
It's a lot.
Okay.
But like that's what I'm saying. Like those people are really pushing.
Yeah, like
boundaries
you're
and
like okay.
saying very ugly things and misogyny and y'all pushing that and you know, bitch.
Like, that's a
tie my
lot,
shoes and
yeah.
Clean my house and I'm like, oof.
Not today.
Yeah, not today. It's very interesting though, but it's
It's
a lot.
heavy.
It
Yeah,
is
okay.
heavy.
I'll have
It
to
is heavy.
watch it.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. Yeah, it's very interesting.
You know what, Greg? Thank you so much for taking the time to
Of
chat. Oh my
course,
God,
it was so
no.
nice to
It was
meet
so
you.
nice meeting you as
Yeah.
well. Thank you.
Hey, I'm EJ Johnson, and you've just been buzzed.